In keeping with the theme of using things that are important to you, when I was learning how to do art at Mount Holyoke in undergraduate school, we used color aid to learn how to use color, and we used black and white photography to learn how to use not just photography, but overall design. And so when I was learning photography, and this was in the days when you developed your own film, which was a lot of fun, I went back to a place of my childhood which was significant to me. You want to use things that are significant to you, both from your own family history, from your own childhood, from your own interests. And in this case, it was an old iron foundry that I had played in when I was a kid. It was built in 1908, and it's called the Albany Foundry. And the reason that I'm including it here is because it's an example of how you can use things that are important to you and how they remain important to you throughout your life. The foundry was abandoned. It had a chain link fence around it, but the gate was always open. So in a town with nothing to do, this was something to do. It had partly returned to the wild and partly looked as if the men had just left it. There were doors on the outside that they shoveled material through. There were doors on the inside through which the material came. It's hard to describe the beauty of the place. Since the roof had fallen in, there was light in places that wouldn't be light otherwise. And also there was water on the floor that in the winter turned into ice, and the whole thing became a skating rink. Most of the windows were broken, but it didn't matter to a certain extent, because here, as you can see, you're looking out the window back in time to some automobile from the 1950s or 40s or 30s. And a lot of the equipment and the tools were just left when the place closed. Now, I went on to study the iron and steel industry in the United States and write a book about Lucan steel. And it wasn't until about a year or two into the project that I remembered these photos, and I remembered having played in a foundry when I was a kid. I probably started coming here when I was 12, through about age 16, 17. Then I came back here in college and took these pictures. Here's one of the bays on the inside that I guess they were storing sand in. Here's an old steam boiler. I ended up writing about these things. God only knows why. Well, now I know. This is it. These things stay with you for a long time. Black and white photos, they have their own inherent limitations. Digital photography in this same situation would have gotten an extremely detailed color picture. This is as good as you can do in a low light, high contrast situation with black and white. Eventually, they tore this down. I'm glad I went back when I was in college and took these pictures. The pictures I have in my head from before I came back to take the pictures in college are compounded with sights and sounds like the cold winter wind, and the snow would blow around into drifts like this sand here. There was one guard who lived somewhere, I think in a trailer on the site, and he had a German Shepherd dog. And we only ran into him once, and the time that we ran into him, it was winter. And it was one of the times when the floor of the foundry had turned into ice. And he just said hello. The dog wagged its tail, and, we went on exploring. This is what you could do in those days. Not only was the foundry there, but the office buildings were there as well. This is a connecting door to the office. This is the office. Imagine kids these days, they could never do what we did then. And that's too bad.